We sometimes joke between the engineering leadership team that it feels like you're building a rocket as it's taking off, because we're expanding at the same time globally as we are building this system.
It looks very amazing, but obviously it's not that easy, and things get messy as well for some companies and for the people I know as well that I talk to. How do you keep this momentum going on?
When you set up your teams in a way that they're super skilled, they are very much in touch with where the technology is going, then a lot of those suggestions on which direction to take come bottom up. Okay, so we try to make decisions at the lowest level as possible. So engineers should be able to make a lot of decisions themselves. I've seen so many conversations in the industry that are saying, "Oh, vibe coding is going to, it's going to take away all the jobs of developers." Just like, have you seen the code they've produced? I think for the next 20 years we'll be fixing all the tech debt.
Yes.
I don't think that anybody's job is in danger in terms of development.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of TechFindsTech. I'm your host, Mohammed Ahmed, and today we are joined by Ms. Seemi Suleri. She's the VP of Engineering at Prima. It's lovely to have you, Ms. Seemi, to join us today. So before we dive into the questions, if you could quickly introduce yourself for our audience and just share your journey so far.
Yeah. Okay. Well, it's glad to be back talking to you guys. It was a pleasure before as well. I'm Seemi. I'm VP of Engineering for a company. It's an insure-tech company that started off in Italy and kind of became the first Italian unicorn and a huge success story for Italy. And then we are now expanding into Spain and the UK as well. And I am part of the global expansion team. My background is in computer science. I did my degree back many, many years ago. It tells my age, and I feel very old telling this story because I was in the 2003 batch of in FAST Lahore, and it's an immensely proud moment for me that I'm able to talk to you guys who are like the young kids doing all the modern things and stuff. But yeah, so I didn't actually work in Pakistan. Unfortunately, I did a little job within FAST in the beginning of my career, but really my full-time job was here in the UK, working for a company called Micronap, where we were developing some simulation software for training air traffic controllers. So quite a fun job to get my teeth into. And my background in C++ was the reason why I got that job. And then eventually went from one industry to another, went into electronics manufacturing, insurance, e-commerce, now back into insure-tech. And I think I'm going to probably settle down a little bit in the fintech industry because I quite like it. And I feel like it's got a lot of interesting stuff coming up. There is so much to do as well, which is great, and it pays really well. So, all in all, a great package. And I'm really pleased that I'm able to talk to you guys. Recently, my focus has been a lot on expanding teams globally and getting high performance out of teams and all of those kind of stuff. So now no longer writing code for at least 5 years, but hopefully still in touch with the modern technology.
Amazing. It's always a pleasure to talk to you. So my first question would be, as you said that you started as an engineer, obviously. So now you're obviously VP of engineering at a big company. So what's the biggest change of mindset when you're leading at scale?
I would say from an engineer to a VP, the biggest thing you have to do is what value you add. Okay, so I always used to believe, even as an engineer, that we are all equals at the table. I never used to think I'm any less than any director or any VP. I had this attitude always because I used to think, well, you can't do what I can do, and I can't do what you can do. So we're both bringing something to the table. So I remember being a part of the engineering team and then just, working and all of that. The biggest change that happens personally is that as you progress into your leadership roles, you become further away from the main team. So what happens is that those people that you were hanging out with, having fun with and all of those kind of things, all of a sudden it becomes like one of those things where you can't do that anymore because they're afraid that you're deciding their salary as well. So the people who used to hang out with and all of that, they become a bit
But
distant
yeah,
from you.
yeah.
And that for me was a big thing because I was like, oh, we're all friends, but eventually you have to just deal with this.
Yes.
In terms of global expansion, expanding team in, I would say, in a smaller environment is
Mm,
it follows the same pattern. So essentially, when you introduce a change, and if you are scaling something, you are essentially adding a lot of changes to the way people work, the way they perceive things. And when you introduce things like that, people go through this cycle of accepting change, right? So initially, there will be a huge uproar. Oh, we don't want to do it. Why is this change necessary? Then you say, no, we're going to do
mhm,
that. And then slowly you can feel like people are sort of just sulking a little bit and then just speaking a little bit. And then eventually they accept it and then they thrive in it. So that thing stays across the board, even if you're scaling a small thing or a large organization. So just you can just imagine building a team from scratch if you had to. Doing it on steroids is what happens in global expansions. So
mhm,
essentially, it's that. But the main thing is, surround yourself with good people, and I've always done that. When I had one team of 4 people, I had fantastic engineers who worked with me, and it's the
mhm,
same thing that you do when you're doing it at scale. Make sure that the team that's around you is super strong because they are the ones who will be there a lot of the times when you can't be, because you can't be in a lot of
mhm.
places at all times. So that's the biggest, I would say, mind shift in how you approach it. But the main aspect of making sure that you have a very strong team around you, that you spend a
Yeah.
lot of time with them, training them, developing them, investing in them, and having sort of like a good working relationship with them so they understand
True. Yeah.
what your expectations are, what your standards are.
Mhm.
And then when you're not there, they're able to carry out the work with the same expectation
Exactly.
and
Yeah.
same standards. But because if
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
don't do that, you don't build the team, that means you haven't really learned to scale. So the team around you is extremely important.
Yeah. Understandable. And I'm assuming that you make the most of the calls where to invest time and effort for your company, right? So, what technologies and trends do you think that in the upcoming years would be for you personally? Would you be trying to double down on?
Okay, so I want to go back to the first part of the question first, and then I'll answer the, the remaining part. So
Sure.
the first
Sure.
part of the question is about decision making that you said. Okay, so setting the
Yeah.
direction and setting the vision
Mhm.
for going ahead technologically. So one of the things I would say is that when you set up your teams in a way that they're super skilled, they are very much in touch with where the technology is going, then a lot of those suggestions on which direction to take come bottom up. Okay, so we try to make decisions at the lowest level as possible. So engineers should be able to make a lot of decisions themselves, and if they are
Okay.
struggling to do it, then their managers should be able to do it. Then their managers should be able to do it. And by the time it gets to the VP, most of the decisions should be done already. Okay.
Oh,
So
okay. Okay.
people should be empowered enough. And the way I lead is that they're empowered enough to say, this technology and this piece of kit looks amazing. Let's trial it and see whether it solves a problem for us. Go ahead, try it. If it fails, we throw it away, we try something different, and we move very, very fast. But a lot of the times, obviously, there are such certain times when people are escalating a decision to say, okay, well, this is
Mhm.
might be a huge investment. Okay. And
Yeah.
in that
Yeah.
case, the decision would be whether it is worth investing. And that's something where I would come in and say, actually, okay, well, these are the benefits, these are the drawbacks, and whether we can
Right.
invest in it
Right.
right now or further down the line.
Mhm.
So a lot of the times, it would be like this. And in terms of insurance sector, where we are working right now, um, we have this advantage where our technology is way more advanced than a lot of your typical insurance companies, because typical insurance companies are these massive giants that have been
Yeah.
around for a very long time. So a lot of
Mhm.
their software is still on prem, massive mainframes, like they're still using mainframes. So when you ask them about their data and how their data flows through the system, they have no idea about these conversations, right? So they're in a completely different world. And in comparison to them, where we are, we're using machine learning in order to train our models, in order to do pricing, which is the heart of car insurance, which we sell. And so from the beginning, we have been a lot very modern in the way we develop. And what we are doing right now is obviously, which a lot of companies are doing, is a lot use of generative AI and figuring out how we can use that. For example, in insurance, you can use a lot of document analysis and stuff like that. So, for example, if somebody puts in a claim for against a against their car insurance, we can then analyze it by figuring out, automatically extract the information and put it into the system rather than agents manually going through that, saving them time and making us even more efficient and stuff.
Yeah.
There's a lot of other stuff that we are trying to invest in, which is with regards to the way we operate with our customers. So all of the human interaction that we have, we want to make it super high quality, which means that a lot of these laborious manual tasks that people have to do by checking stuff, we are trying to automate them and using AI in order to help us there. So, but we are that kind of a company. We're innovating all the time. We have hackathons that happen every year, if not more than once. So what we do is we base it on a real problem, and then we form teams, and then they solve that real problem, and those solutions then get productionized. So we have a lot of things like that. For me, that's an exciting way to look at things. But my personal interest also is what is the human element of all of this. Okay. So a lot of the conversations right now are happening about the technologies and how AI is helping us grow. And those are the things every single company will tell you they're exploring. And I'm sure you're more
Yeah.
aware than I am in the same market that, more and more companies, there's a lot of demand for that, right?
Yes.
But the
Yes.
point is that I feel like the conversation we're not having a lot is the fact that how we are treating the people who are building these systems, who are behind them.
Yes. Yes. The
I've
culture.
seen so many conversations in the industry that are saying, "Oh, vibe coding is going to, it's going to take away all the jobs of developers." Just like, have you seen the code they've produced? I think for the next
Yeah.
20 years we will be fixing all the tech
Exactly.
debt. I don't think
Yeah.
I don't think that anybody's job is in danger in terms of development. But the funny part is that people who are saying these things don't know how to write code. And therefore they're saying,
Exactly.
oh
Yeah.
yeah, it's going to replace developers and stuff. So I think that we need to, as tech people, we need to have this conversation more and more and say, and bring it to the human side of the organization. So for me, those conversations are very important.
All right. So, one question I really wanted to ask as well is that when you scale a company, right, and you're now managing global teams as well. So it looks very amazing, but obviously it's not that easy, and things get messy as well for some companies and for the people I know as well that I talk to. How do you keep this momentum going on, and what kept you like for your company as well? What kept you like going and expanding at such a higher scale, and what keeps you going with the same momentum without losing clarity?
Yeah, so I would say we sometimes joke between our the engineering leadership team that um, it feels like you're building a rocket as it's taking off, because we're expanding at the same time globally as we are building this
Yes.
system. So we are
Yes.
holding the pieces together. So it does feel like that. So you need people who have a lot of energy. It's not for everyone. Some people would find it super overwhelming. You need people, especially in your leadership team, that are familiar with change, okay? And they are the ones that embrace change rather than resist change. Because if you got change
Yes.
resistors in your team, you're not going to be
True.
able to go. They're just not the right fit for this, because not everybody can do every role. If you're doing globally expansion things, those are the kind of people you want. The other thing
Yes.
is
Yeah.
that you need a very strong vision at the top. Okay. So if we're expanding in various countries and within the countries, we're expanding products, we're expanding teams. So it's growing, in various directions at the same time. It's just like spreading all over, which basically means that if you don't have a top vision of what we are trying to achieve, which everybody can rally behind, then you will really struggle because everybody will just kind of go in all directions. They'll just create their own vision. Okay. So the
Yeah.
point is that you need the leadership, the top leadership that comes from the CEO, from that kind of C-suite guys who can set that vision. Okay. And if the company says, okay, our vision is we are going to become, I don't know, the number one insure tech company in Europe. Okay, let's say that was the vision. Then everybody says,
Yeah.
okay, well, what does that mean then? Okay, that what does that mean for Spain? What does that mean for UK? What does that mean for Italy? And then they
Yes.
translate into country leadership, and they can then build the goals that align with the vision of the company. Okay, but that starts with the top. So always remember, a very strong vision and a team that believes in that vision is the most important thing. Okay, if you have people who are at top leadership who don't believe in that vision, they're not going to deliver it. So you need this
Yeah.
alignment. So first you set the vision, then you build the team that aligns behind that vision. Because if you don't have people who are buying into that vision and saying, look, we can do it, we are very strongly feeling about it, and we are
Yes.
able to
Yes.
deliver, you're not going to be able to do it. Okay, and then
Mm-hmm.
fundamentally, after that, you need to figure out where you are technologically. Okay. Because if I was still on mainframes, doing most of the work on prem, nothing on the cloud, and still having to wait for days before I can deploy a new tariff or a new model and stuff like that. I can't say, oh, I want to be doing multiple releases a day or something. I mean, that's a dream that's so far fetched. You're never going to be able to do that. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the idea is also be realistic with what your technology allows you to do. If you've got massive monoliths that are weighing you down, first you need to do something about that. So keep that
Mm-hmm.
technology mindset as well. So thinking, okay, this is the vision. We are all aligned. What is actually possible to deliver that aligns with that vision? So we are finding that in some countries we are able to deliver that vision very quickly, and we are able to, because technologically we are more advanced there. In some other companies, we have some other problems, which basically means, okay, we need to improve our tech stack, improve the quality of our code, make it more robust. And, a lot of those things need to happen before we are getting to the same. So not all of the aspects and all of the sites would look exactly the same. And I think that
Uh-huh.
the mistake people do in global expansions is that they oversimplify the problem. They just think,
Yeah.
oh, everybody should be doing the same thing. It's not true for teams, and it's not true for if you have massive countries that you are exploring and all of that as well. So these are some of the few things. And I think that in order to keep the momentum going, again, you need people who are reiterating the vision, people who strongly believe in it and motivated to deliver it. And then you carry on. But that kind of motivation, that energy, and that drive feeds from the top leadership all the way down to your developers.
Yeah. Perfect. So, looking ahead, how do you think the role of engineering would evolve, and where do you think your organization will be in the next 5 years? So, 5 years is a far short, but just for an idea, where do you think what the vision is for your organization, and what do you think where will be in the next 5 years?
I think for Prima, again, I see us expanding in further European countries. I see us diversifying our product range. We are already market leaders in Italy, and we are very, very profitable. And we are further expanding our footprint there as well. Technologically, like I said, we are actually already on the bleeding edge of technology. So we don't have this problem of saying, oh, we have to now shift everything to cloud, or we don't have those kind of problems because we are fairly young company in comparison to others. And
Mm-hmm.
that's why I love, the startups and stuff, like, because you don't have the tech debt of old companies, big giants. So you can create a dent in the market. So, future is further expansion, and we want to expand globally, but in engineering space. My hope is that we will create this conversation of leading in a more human way. And when I say this, I strongly believe that in technological spaces, there is so much emphasis on just the tech side of things, and we don't focus enough on the people, because ultimately people are the one that deliver technology. So what happens is, if you don't focus on your people, ultimately your technology suffers as well. And we see the after effects, but
Yes.
then it's too late to fix the problem. So, in order to fix the problem at the root, you need to create human-centric cultures and make sure that you're putting the well-being of your employees at the heart of everything that you're doing. And once you do
Okay.
that, then they put your company at the heart of their work as well. And so they make it their mission to deliver for you, if you make it your mission to look after them. So it works both ways.
Perfect. Perfect. Now moving towards the rapid fire questions. So my first question would be the one quality you believe every engineering leader should have or must have.
Patience. I think
Patience.
patience is one of those things that I am guilty of not having enough sometimes, but I do
Okay.
believe that we are in an industry that moves at an enormously fast pace. Okay,
Yeah.
and some of the conversations they're having right now, I remember like back in 2005 or something, we did machine learning and AI as a part of the conversations, part of courses in the uni, and it wasn't one of the buzzwords or anything like that. And suddenly something happened and everybody wants to move towards this direction. Now everybody has to, get on the bandwagon and all of that kind of stuff, right? So I feel like in our industry, you have to be you have to be up for everything, but have the patience and the resilience that sometimes, things won't go your way. And you have to sometimes sit back and watch the show. Okay. So a lot
Yeah.
of the times, like now, we were already using machine learning before, and everybody's like going crazy with AI. And even though they sometimes don't even understand, and I'm sure you come across those kind of people as well, and just like, you don't
Definitely.
understand like half of what you're saying. And the
Yes.
fun part is just sit back and relax a little bit and enjoy.
Oh,
So patience and just seeing how the industry evolves is quite a good quality, I think.
all right. So, what's your ideal team setup? Is it remote? Is it hybrid? Or is it in office?
I would say nowadays it's very difficult to get everybody in the office. Okay, just because of the nature of especially for us, because we have employees all over Europe. And one of the reasons why we can get the best talent is because we are offering remote only jobs as well. Okay, so we are a remote first company. However, we are investing hugely in getting people together in doing things. Okay, so we do a lot of offsites. So even though they don't come into the office, they see each other every 2 months, three
Hmm.
months tops, and we might
Yeah.
be going to, we've done a ski trip in the Alps in Italy. We've done a lot of offsites around Milan, and we make sure that we, book a lovely place. So we'll be like either a massive farm we book in where people can do different activities, and we have free flowing days where people can actually connect. The
Hmm.
benefit of in person work is the connections and the impromptu conversations that we are not having nowadays. Because if you want to talk to someone, you have to book a meeting with them because everybody's remote. You won't just come
Yeah.
across them as
Yeah, it
you're
makes
walking
sense.
past. And
Yes.
that's the thing that we miss. But also we made a decision that we don't want to compromise on talent, so we wanted to get the best people. If you want to get the best people, you have to be flexible, and therefore we added the flexibility, but we make sure that we're investing hugely in bringing the teams together so they still have that connection and those conversations that we
Yes.
want them to have, and the links that they have. So as long as you're doing that, there's nothing wrong with remote or hybrid work, but you have to be very intentional about bringing those people together. Otherwise, you will not have the connection. People will just be like isolated. So you don't want that. If you are able to provide them with a team setup and be able to bring them together every now and then, that's
Hmm.
where the hybrid and remote works. Otherwise, in person is the way to go.
Yeah, yeah, makes sense. And I'm sure you might have interviewed a lot of candidates, engineering roles for your organization. So, what's that favorite questions of yours for when you're hiring, especially for an engineering role?
Um, Well, there's this question that Elon Musk suggested that I really like, which is about tell me something that you're extremely proud of, a problem that you fixed recently. And that
Hmm.
is something I really like to ask because it really tells you about the person, what type of problem they
Yes.
face.
Yeah.
If they're still thinking about, like, is it out of the box thing? Is it actually just day to day work that they're going to just tell me, oh, yeah, I built this system. And then I'm like, well, that's just your work, right? This is not like a. So it tells you a lot about that person. So I heard one of his interviews, Elon Musk's interviews, and I thought that is a question. So at the moment, that's my favorite question to ask. By the way, all of the either you're engineering, whichever level you are, if you ask the person, what tell me about a problem you recently fixed that you're extremely proud of, fixing the and so they will tell you, and it tells you a lot about the personality of the person.
Yeah, makes sense. Coming to my last question, what's the best advice that you want to give, especially for the students as well listening to this? or for the younger people coming into the technology space, what's like the best advice that you can give to them?
I would say watch every opportunity like a hawk. Okay. The world is full of opportunities, and you do not know when your time will come. But I remember the students who were just partying out, not paying attention to all the opportunities, they're still left behind. Okay. You might get a job, but you won't be the next big thing. But if you want to
Mm,
be someone in the industry and you want to make it, and you want to make it in like record time as well, then watch everything because opportunities come to everyone, regardless of where you are, who you are. Just keep watching, keep looking, make sure you're paying attention. And sometimes opportunities are hiding in places where work is not being done, which basically means that imagine a situation. I'll give you example of my own career. I went into a company and this was my first job. And I
mhm,
felt that as a woman, a female engineer, people are not taking me seriously. Okay. And this is
mhm,
sometimes, I don't know how the industry is like right now. I'm hoping it's improved now in the last 15 years, but it was very much like that then back then. And so I started looking for additional responsibilities that nobody else wanted to do. So I needed to do my own work. But also, I figured out that there was a lot of quality management stuff that needed to be done in the engineering team that nobody wanted to do. And I took it on myself to do that. And the reason was that I wanted to just be a little bit more useful, a little bit more influential. I wanted to create that space. So I created that opportunity for myself. And what
mhm,
happened was, because of that really a small responsibility that I took on that nobody else wanted to do in engineering, I made connections with the MD, with the quality department, with all of these people, and so I became this engineer who knew everyone. And with that, a lot of the stuff that I wanted to do became easier for me. So that created a huge opportunity for me in that little team that I was in my first role. So, oh, think about if you think, oh, nothing is being passed to me, I know I haven't got enough responsibilities, just start looking at what people are not doing. Because sometimes
mhm.
you just find work in places people are not willing to take responsibilities, and it might not be fun, but it's okay. Just take on that responsibility. It will give you a door into another opportunity. So opportunities are often linked. So that's what I would say. Just keep looking for those opportunities and create them for yourself, even though somebody doesn't hand them to you, because a lot of the times it doesn't happen like that.
Yeah, yeah, I think that's a very valuable advice. Thank you, Miss Simi. Again, it was lovely talking to you, and it's always a pleasure. And thank you, everyone, as well, for joining in. And we'll see you in the next episode. Thank you very much. Goodbye.
All right.